Brought to you by Crimson Cult Media.
We got you now.
No turning back. Welcome to Moths to the Flame. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, my morbid little mothlings. Today, we are finally, after, oh my God, like 3 attempts on my part. I've sucked so bad as the podcast host. Finally, we have the wonderful Angela Sylvaine with us today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure. And don't worry, it turns out you have a life outside of podcasting. So you know what? Stuff's going to happen sometimes.
Wild how that happens, right? I mean, oh my God. Yeah, lots of traveling. And I would be like, Angela, I'm so sorry. I'm not even in the state right now. I can't get on. So struggle.
No worries. It's okay.
Yes. Okay, so you are the author of the recently released The Dead Spot, Stories of Lost Girls, a short story collection, and also the author of Frostbite that came out last year, and you have another novel coming up later this year, so lots and lots of exciting things happening for you. Tell us, first of all, what got you into writing? Where did this come from? Has it been a lifelong thing, or how did that come?
Actually, I feel like a lot of writers say they've been writing their whole lives, and I am not one of them. I don't know what it was, but even though I've been a lifelong reader, and I've always been a voracious reader, I've always read horror from a young age, too young, as many of us did, picking up Stephen King and at the age of 12 and stuff like that, as you do. It never crossed my mind that I could create stories myself until I was probably in my mid 30s. And it just so happened at my day job, I worked with someone who worked part-time, basically in order to have health insurance.
Right.
And we were a writer. And so we would always talk about books and talk about writing. And one day she said, I really feel like you should give it a shot. I just have this feeling you would like it. So I decided to try it, and I started going to local writing conferences. We have a couple really great ones here in Colorado where I am. So, I did it badly at first, and then I learned what I was doing and I got better.
Yes.
and now here we are. I never quit. I just fell in love with it. But yeah, I kind of came to it later than
that is some. Awesome. It's serendipitous how that works out, where it's like you have I'm the same way. I had a totally different field before, and it was not anything related to horror. So it was like, it finds us with its claws.
That's
and
right.
It pulls us in, and then we never escape. So yeah, well, that is super exciting. So Colorado, you guys have a little bit of a little horror stronghold happening out there recently. So
we have some very talented Colorado writers, which is very nice that I get to, absorb their good horror vibes and learn from them. Stephen Graham Jones is out here, and Steve Raznick-Tem and Karina Bissett. We've got a bunch of huge talents out here. So I'm very lucky to get to be in their periphery.
That is awesome. I mean, I wonder, my sister used to live in Colorado, and I really expected when we went out there to visit her that I was I thought I knew what to expect. And then as soon as we get off the plane, I was like, whoa, it's really bright and really dry and really there's a different feeling here. I thought it was really interesting. So does your Colorado location inspire any of your work? Does that kind of bleed over into your writing? How does that impact your work?
Yes, sometimes. I definitely feel like the woods to me are always going to be scary. I'm very scared of the woods because who knows what could happen in there.
Nothing good. Nothing good ever.
Don't go in the forest or whatever it is they say.
Right.
So yes, I'm definitely scared of the woods. I'm scared of lakes. So all that is high creep factor for me. But also I grew up in North Dakota, And a fair amount of my writing is also inspired by North Dakota, like my upbringing, because it was very like small town, with all the things that carries with it, and also extremely cold, which I was never a fan of. So that works its way into things as well. So I've got a couple settings I can pull from.
Oh, that's fun. I like that. So let's talk about The Dead Spot that just came out May 21st, has an awesome introduction by J.A.W. McCarthy. Would you like to give us a blurb of that, or I can read the blurb
Sure.
up?
It's up to you. I mean, I can give you a quick blurb. As you know, with book promoting, usually you have this stuff memorized. So,
Right.
um, so the Dead Spot is 17 stories of women and girls that are battling monsters, ghosts, obsession, manipulation, and just the darkness in the world around them. So, yeah, just kind of following women and girls in various ways they have to fight and be tenacious, and they don't always win, but as we women and girls tend to do, they don't quit fighting even when the monsters and what they are up against sometimes seems unstoppable. We have no choice, right? That's like real life and fiction. So yeah, that's kind of the vibe of the collection.
Very cool. I like that a lot. I haven't read it yet, and I intend to. I'm excited to. So everybody, all of our mothlings, make sure everybody goes and picks up a copy. I'd like to hear about your writing process as far as when you go in to write a short story, because I feel like writing short stories and writing novels, that those are two way separate skills. And like I try to hone my short story craft, and I'm doing these anthologies and really trying to perfect that craft, because every idea wants to be a novel, and I'm like, no, there's no time for that. Like, so what is your process to do this short stories and have a collection where you pull them all together with the same theme?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. For me too, my process is very different from short stories versus novels. For novels, I'm really structured, and I think I've heard you say before, very like, you have to outline and plan and do all these things. But for short stories, I really just am spontaneous. I'll start with an idea and just go, just write, just pants it, and see where it takes you, which is fun, because you might end up in an unexpected place. But it does, of course, mean you have to kind of find your story. So sometimes you start writing and maybe the story isn't about what you thought it was. And it might take a few rounds to kind of figure out what is the story you're trying to tell. So for me, usually, when I write a short story, it sometimes ends up pretty close. Like maybe I only have to revise it once or twice, but sometimes it's months of thinking about it and letting it sit there and revising it until it ends up being something that actually makes sense, and is worth telling. So, but I like it. It's a lot of fun. And it's also fun to kind of break up if you are working on longer work. I don't know if you're like this, but sometimes I like to take novel writing breaks and write
Yes.
short stories just to like cleanse the brain and get the creative juices flowing.
Right. When you get so deep into the novel and you're like, wait a minute, I'm going off the rails. I need a moment. Like I need a moment. I
That's
find
right.
that interesting too, because I do the same thing with short stories, and I don't plot them as psychotically as I plot novels, because I am so spreadsheet focused. But with a short story, it's like I find that you can pull a different voice out,
Yes.
because there's no expectation of carrying it for so long that it's like I can really dive into this southern thing, or this, I'm like in this one scene, there's a special magic that comes with short stories, which is,
Yeah.
I think, super fun.
I
So
agree. You can be really creative and try things that maybe you wouldn't be comfortable doing for a whole book,
yeah,
genre wise or like voice wise or setting. It just doesn't have the commitment. So even if you fail, it's like, oh, well.
right. It wasn't like that huge of a time suck, and yeah. And I feel like there's always kind of an opportunity. Maybe it could go in a collection or an anthology,
Yeah,
or
that's right. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there's opportunities out there. Yeah.
that's
So
right.
I think that's fun. And I think it's interesting to see too how writers, their styles vary between novel and then short works. And
Mhm.
so like for me, novels, they tend to be very flowery language and historical and all the things, atmospheric and dripping, 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 all of that. And then my short stories will be fucking chaotic, like absolute insanity. So you find that is the same for you, or do you have
Yeah,
different
for
voices?
sure. I would say my short work honestly tends to be darker and more disturbing, as I've been told. It tends to be kind of sad girl. It's like it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
And I really like gut punch you with a short thing where at the end you want to cry sometimes. But longer work, I tend to do a lot more humor. Like, so I write more nostalgia, like stuff that takes place in the 80s and 90s and just has a little bit of a sense of humor to it, even if it's horror, even if there's bad stuff happening and maybe you want to cry once in a while, it definitely tends to be a little more like horror comedy. And I've thought about that, and I think maybe it's just because for me, it's probably easier to hang out in a world for an entire year or however long it takes to write a book that's not quite as depressing. I need to lighten it up just a little bit for myself so that I can live there, without like breaking down mentally. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. True for me too.
So that's something that I love to hear authors talk about too. You've written this collection of stories with women themed and the battles that we as women face, which are far too numerous and I mean really traumatizing, like
Yeah.
a lot. So I'm wondering, was it when you're writing the stories, was it cathartic for you in a way? Were you kind of like working out some personal demons too in writing, or
Yes.
yeah?
I am always working out personal demons, even if I don't think I am, even if I don't realize it at the time consciously. In retrospect, I think you see a lot of like recurring themes with, family and dysfunctional relationships and just the pressures on women in general. I think there's a reason I'm drawn to telling those kind of stories. It's because I internalize those things and I'm still kind of working through it. So, which is great because it's like therapy, it's like writing is like daily therapy. You're getting all of your hangups out on the page, which is very healthy. I think that's probably why horror people are so generally so nice and wonderful, is
Yeah.
because we're really well adjusted, I think, because we're basically doing inner therapy all the time.
I think so too. Well, and that you bring up a really interesting point because I love to talk about the psychology behind horror and that difference in fear and what fear means to different people. But that is a really fascinating idea. The researcher in me is like, ooh, the wheels are turning, about if there's a correlation between the way that horror writers have to approach the inner emotions of characters and what, like looking at character arcs going through such traumatic situations and then
Mhm.
manipulating them in that plot, if that helps us to better regulate our own traumatic experiences and our own emotions and our own mental health issues. And like, that's a really fascinating,
Mhm.
like, realm. I love that. I think that's really cool. I'm like over here, like, there's a thesis there. I can smell it.
I think
Like,
you should pursue
yeah.
this. My undergraduate degree is actually in psychology. And
Oh,
so I'm super intrigued by that too. You should probably do like a nonfiction piece or something
I
like
love
that.
that. Though I'm like writing a note down. I'm like, this is such a good. I am gonna. Like, what cool data could be collected in that realm? That's such a cool idea. So, well, so my daytime career was 14 years of special education. So this psychology adjacent. Yeah, like I love that whole realm. So very, very cool. Do you think that your Frostbite and then your upcoming novel as well, do they have kind of themes, ideas? I know they've got the nostalgic and the comedy field. Both of them are that way, or just Frostbite?
Yeah, both of them are nostalgic and kind of a horror comedy. And I think as far as deeper themes, Frostbite has a lot of themes of like memory because the main character's mother is has dementia. She has Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
And when the alien parasites like infect the town, essentially, one of the side effects is that people lose their memory. So for the main character, she's not only dealing with what's happening to her mother, but also now her worst nightmare is essentially spreading to the entire town. And for me, that is very, very personal theme because I have Alzheimer's runs in my family. And so that is clearly me working through some things as far as like just my own real world concerns and fears of what I have to deal with. But through my main character, I'm able to like live that and carry through the arc of, how you cope with those kind of things.
Yes,
And
I love
yeah,
that.
and in Chopping Spree, there are some themes about like relationships with your family. And I definitely work through some of that. Like, I had a very complicated relationship with my dad, who was an alcoholic. And there was domestic abuse in my home. So, in many ways, I love him dearly, but I also like hate him in ways as well.
Right.
And so again, those are themes that like present themselves as working through like father-daughter relationships. In Chopping Spree, she has like a very tough relationship with her dad. So yeah, totally, those things present themselves. And maybe not everything in the book is attributed to my actual like things I'm working through, but you never
Right.
know what is.
Right. Well, you know what's funny is as I was sitting here, I always like to say, "Oh, no triggers, I'm good," unless it's like harming children. And suddenly, in this moment, I'm realizing, oh my God, Alzheimer's. That's a major trigger for me because my family, like witnessed my own grandfather basically just waste away. And people, when I don't think if they've directly experienced it or have that fear that that's going to be them one day. And I try to make jokes about it with Bert, my husband. I don't know. You've met Bert. You've seen him.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I'm always like, what do when I'm 70 and I don't know who you are. But that is, yeah, I'm like realizing, oh my gosh, that's a trick. That's something that would, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle frostbite.
Well, no. And first off, like, content warnings are a good thing, right? You should absolutely be able to control what you want to read and expose yourself to,
Right.
like 100%. So never feel like obligated to pick up frostbite or anything else. No reader
Right.
ever should. But I will say I've gotten several comments from readers. That's probably that dynamic is the one thing I hear most about from readers that they really appreciate. Is like the way that storyline was handled was so meaningful to me because I've experienced it in my own life, and it was just very personal. Which is funny because it's a wacky book about prairie dogs that get infected with alien worms and attack a town. It's very silly.
That's
But
fun. Yeah.
you also have like real stuff, real characters dealing with real things that resonate with people. So yeah, that's a
Great.
that always meant a lot to me to hear that from readers, that they felt like it was at least well handled for those that have gone through it.
Yeah, that's good. And you're giving a little bit of a psychology, almost like a therapy session for the reader then too, as they're going through it. And that's that healing that gives me like Catherine Silva vibes,
Yeah.
grief, horror, and I think about, thinking about other writers that talk about those hard relationships, Gwendolyn Keist and Jessica McHugh. They write a lot of mother themed fiction. And yeah, I think that really, I'm drawn to things like that because it helps with that full cycle of never ending mental health care. Right.
That's right.
Because I wish we addressed it as easily as we addressed a cold and going to the doctor for a cold.
Right. If only we
You
could see it the same way as physical health.
Yeah. I mean, I do, but I wish that the general consensus was, and it wasn't always like that for me. It was late diagnoses and all that stuff. So that's
I know.
very, very interesting dynamics to work through there. So very cool. So when it comes to writing, I know you said that you have to like take breaks from novels to go into short stories. Where do you find that you get inspiration as like, do you have certain books that you like to read to prep for writing, or do you have films that you like to watch? Are you one of these music listeners? Set the scene for us. How do you prep before writing whatever content you've decided you're going to write?
I'm definitely a music person. I love music. It's like very just meaningful to me in my everyday life. And especially when I'm writing something nostalgic, I tend to put on that genre of music. So I've got like 80s playlists and 90s playlists and things like that that get me in the mindset to write in that time period. Or if I'm writing something a little more like sad girl, I
love
love
that girl genre you're talking about right
I
now.
love it too. I'm about it, like Gwendolyn Kite style, you know.
Yes, yes.
My favorite is actually the Killing Eve soundtrack. The show Killing Eve has like
Oh,
so many
yes.
vibes. It's very like dark and vibey. So that's my favorite for like sad girl. But yes, I definitely put music on to get in the mood. And it works great.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you. I got you back. Am I losing you and my signal? Oh, now I
Hey,
see
can you
you.
hear me?
Yeah, I can
Hi.
hear you now. I don't know what happened there. Sorry.
It was on my end. Our power
Oh.
has been, I don't know what's happening. It's had some storms roll through and it's been flickering. And so every time, even if it just slightly flickers, then the router resets, and yay, technology. So
No worries.
sorry, that was
If it
not
happens
my
again,
end,
I'll
guys.
just wait. It's cool. We'll just take a
Yeah,
pause.
we're here. We're here. Okay. So we were talking about the Sad Girls Club. I feel like you guys need to start a club and have shirts that say the Sad Girls Club, because
I love it.
that's its own little mini. That's so funny. Everyone that is hearing that right now, I like take that idea and run with
Yes,
it. So
merch. We want
Sad Girls
merch.
Club. Yes, yes. I'll put some Sad Girls Club shirts in my store and we'll just roll right along with that. I think that's so fun. Yes.
I'll buy it. I will be your first customer.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so tell us about Chopping Spree with Family Dynamic that's coming up. That I believe is releasing later this year.
Yep, it's in September, and it's 80s retro 80s mall slasher. So it's about a young
Fun.
woman who goes to work her first job at the mall. And this town is basically famous for two things: their retro mall and their disappearance of teens that they don't seem to be able to solve. So she goes to work, and one night ends up getting trapped in the mall with a masked killer that her and her friends have to escape. But not only is she going to end up having to fight this masked killer, but also kind of confront the town's secrets regarding these missing teens.
Ooh, I like it. A little intrigue, a little nostalgic vibe with the slashers in the mall, and of course those troublesome teens that are
Yep.
always up to no good everywhere, always.
There's a reason they're always the ones that get attacked, you know?
I mean, I think about myself as a teenager and I'm like, how did I make it out? I'm not sure.
Poor decisions. Yeah, we just got lucky, basically.
Very much so. Very much so. I see those little memes that are like, think about that time you told your mom you were at your friend's house and you were out like dying in a field. And I'm like, yeah, that was my
Yeah.
mom was like,
I had a few close calls.
yeah, like should have probably have had anyway. So do you have any exciting events or buzz or promotional things coming up for Chopping Spree that you want to mention that
Sure. So
you're excited about?
I'll actually be teaching at a local writing conference in September, which I'm really excited about. So I'll be promoting Chopping Spree there, but it's the last weekend of September and it's called Colorado Gold. So if anyone wants to learn how to write, it's the writing conference that I actually was the first writing conference I ever went to that kind of taught me the fundamentals about how to write. It's a great conference. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going to be there. I'll be promoting the book and doing signings and things, and also teaching a couple classes on how to write horror and how to write horror comedy. So it should be lots of fun.
I love that. So what would you say is your favorite horror comedy that was written by somebody else, not you? Could be film or could be both.
Probably say off the top of my head, I think it's probably Brian McCulley's work. So I loved both Curse of the Reaper and Candy Cane Kills. I think he really like nails a good combination of horror and comedy, which is tough. So yeah, I think he's probably my favorite like horror comedy author.
I love that. And he's such a nice guy too.
I
I
know.
feel like it's that whole back to the research study that I'm now going to do about how there has to be a correlation between something with because it's the friendliest community ever. Like we have some bad apples, but we throw them out of the orchard pretty quick and then move on with just peace and positivity and support of everybody else. So
I agree.
I think that's great. That's awesome. I love you're a podcast listener, so you've probably heard me talk and drool about Cocaine Bear, which I love.
I love Cocaine Bear. It was so funny.
Oh my God. The absurdity and the hilarity. I'm just like, that is hilarious. And I also find a lot of splatterpunk and extreme horror where it's just like so beyond the moon, where you're like, this is funny. Like, this is not even trying to be scary. This is,
Sometimes when war is like off the charts, to me, it gets less scary, because it's not real. It becomes totally unreal and wacky, which makes it like more palatable and fun.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and then it's like, what is wrong with all of us that we consume this media? Like, we want to write it, we want to consume it. Like, what is? I have to.
Many have asked that question to me personally as well. I'm sure you've heard it as well. People are like, "Why do you choose to write this and read it?" Like,
Benjamin. No, what I get most now is, or do you have a Benjamin Franklin fetish? And I'm like, no, no. The one in my book is young and sexy, not the white wig. Not that one, but it's a valid question. I do understand it's a valid question, but I definitely. And speaking of authors who are completely unhinged but fantastic writers, we're going to have a little ad here from someone who writes some of the most hilarious, fucked up splatter I have ever consumed in my life, Carrietta Dorsch. So let's watch a little clip from one of her books that is already out now. There we have it. Heaven Sunflower. Super, super good little novella. And everything that Carrie writes is completely fucked up. So Mothling.
Love it. I mean, that's like woods horror. So that's probably right up my alley.
Slasher, yes, it absolutely is, which is super fun. And it's a quick read too, which is, I like those. I feel like with how busy the world is right now, short stories and novellas and novelettes, like they're just quick to consume. And so I find that I'm gravitating towards reading more of those because I can just digest them really fast and then get back to all the insanity of life that we have. Yeah. So thinking about the insanity of life. Right. You're like, I'm still reading. It's happening. That Bert, he's an audiobook reader. He's like, for every one book that I manage to read, and I'm a fast reader. He will read or listen to 3. And I'm like, whatever. I wish I could learn that way, but I just can't. So
I do like audiobooks too.
So
they're good.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. Have you ever thought about I feel like you have the voice where you could narrate an audiobook. Have you ever thought about doing that?
Maybe. I think I don't know if everyone likes my voice. I feel like I have kind of a high-pitched voice. So you probably would have to have a taste for that. But I'm glad you like it. I don't know if everyone does.
I do. Well, and I think it's even greater, like when you're talking about like gore and splatter and all, you're talking about these really dark themes that you write, but you have such a friendly, and your voice sounds friendly. Like I think that's a dichotomous, hilarious thing. So
I'll put it out there. Hire me, everyone.
Yeah,
If you're
I
listening to
think you
this,
should.
call me. I'd be
Yes.
happy to narrate your
That's right.
splatter horror.
Yes. Because, I mean, think of how fucking funny that would be. Like,
That would be
they
fun.
went, like, I feel like that would be awesome, actually. So,
I'm sold.
yeah, there you go. Everybody, hire Angela, narrator. It'll be that juxtaposition of awfulness with a very sweet and kind voice.
Yeah, I love it.
We're just coming up with all these ideas right now. This is the brainstorming hour. Welcome, everyone.
We're just like business. We're just getting
Yeah.
business done here.
Always. I love that. I love that. Okay, so it is now time for the infamous lightning round. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Okay, here we go. Would you rather spend a night alone in a haunted mansion or sleep in a graveyard for a week?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say graveyard because I just really like graveyards.
They are peaceful.
Exactly. I feel like my immediate reaction is a haunted house is like a little scary and you're almost like trapped inside. But a graveyard, you're just out in nature and
Hanging with them.
Yeah. It's probably
I learned the most horrifying thing about graveyards today. Side note, this is why it's the slowest lightning round that ever occurs, because they never go quickly. But I learned that apparently a lot of graveyards have like a gopher, like woodchuck problem, where they like are digging in the ground and they're like going after in the graveyard. Isn't that so morbid and sick?
I kind of like it though. I feel like for myself personally, should I be buried, I would be like, eat away,
Yeah.
Keep me down. Like if that gives you sustenance, I feel like I'm just contributing to other species. Like I'm cool with that.
I love that. They have those like mushroom burial options now where you can be buried in like a mushroom basket.
Yeah.
Put in the ground so you can.
Yeah.
I love all of that too. I think I'm all about some alternative burial options because I do not want to be typically buried. Really, I want my body to be preserved, but that's a whole other thing. So
I want to be a tree. I want to do the one where you get it. They put you in a little pod and you grow into a tree. I think that would be pretty cool.
Bert and I have talked about that before, but we want to be spaced far enough apart so our family members can like have a hammock in between us and hang out. Like,
love it. Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah. And then of course, if everybody says, well, let's take you to a haunted forest, and I'm like, that's the point. Yes.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's the goal. So God, I love that. Okay, would you rather be able to see ghosts but not communicate with them, or communicate with ghosts but not see them?
Okay, I think I'm gonna say see ghosts, just because I want to know if something is around. I just want like a heads up, and I feel like I'm no ghost expert, and I've not had like significant experiences with them, but I feel like mostly they're probably don't have a whole lot to say to me, or they don't have like a ton of pertinent information I really need.
Right.
Like, hey, that's cool, you can hang out there, I just want to know you're there, so like if I'm changing I can go to the other room or something.
I love that. I need my privacy. Ghosts, leave me alone. Thank you. Oh my God. That is so funny. We believe that we have a ghost that lives in our house, and I'm like, that has never even crossed my mind because I'm just like, oh, I'll just walk around naked, I guess, ghosty, whatever. Like, hope they're enjoying the show. I don't.
I'm probably giving myself too much credit here. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, I don't care. Listen, I've got other things on my
Like,
mind.
she thinks we're taking a view, but really we're plotting her demise.
Right? Like, oh, hun, we're not. These
That
trivial concerns.
is so, like priorities, Angela. Priorities. Okay. Okay. So then that leads me to my next question. Would you rather have a friendly ghost that followed you around for the rest of your life or a one-time experience with a malicious spirit?
Oh, I think malicious spirit.
Like, give me the danger.
No, because I'm assuming I'll probably live through the incident. They're malicious, but they're not going to like take me out. So I'm going to get through it. And it's going to be a story to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to grow from it. I'm going to have like a really good party story. So yeah, I'm saying malicious ghost.
I feel like that is such a positive way to look at it. And that's like healthy too. You're like, I could get through it and then I'd have a story. And I'm over here like, I need that ghost as my like wingman. Like, go fuck those people up over there. That's what I need, ghosty. Like,
That would be nice. Someone to be
yeah. Yeah. Well, ghosty the best friend. It's like Casper.
Yeah, like Casper. I could see
That's
that.
an adult. That's, oh my God.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather attend a seance or explore the ruins of an abandoned asylum?
I would say I would probably rather attend a seance because in my mind, that's a little more romanticized, you know? It's like Ouija boards and like subtle happenings. But an abandoned asylum, like real stuff has happened there.
Yeah. And it makes it
real
feel like,
trauma has happened there.
yeah.
Like I don't know that I want to confront those, like the potential of those kind of lingering effects is scarier to me than a seance for sure.
Yeah. So a seance in an asylum is out for you. That's going to be a no-go.
No, that's gonna be a no. I
That's
want
a
a
negative.
seance in like a spooky mansion or something.
Yes. With candles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's another interesting. I feel like you're bringing up all these interesting thoughts about like horror that we have a veil from that's like so ridiculous and like the, cosmic monsters and, things that we don't legitimately fear. And then there's that realistic horror of this actually happened and it was terrible. Like, yeah.
That's exactly right. I'm far more scared of like what mankind can do.
Yeah.
You know, like real people. Give me paranormal stuff like every day, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's like The Strangers, that whole franchise, like that fucks me up.
No,
because
I won't do it.
Yeah. That's some scary
I don't
stuff.
like it.
Like that versus, I'm any kind of, I always think of like Pennywise and like when you see all of it and you're like I'm not afraid of that, but
no.
I'm afraid of The Strangers and the woods and the what's in the woods and who's in the woods and
Exactly.
Because humans are
happen
way worse than anything we come up with in fiction. Yeah, that's
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So, would you rather encounter the ghost of a famous historical figure or a loved one who has passed away?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think loved one. Like, I don't know, historical figures. Maybe I can't think of one off the top of my head anyway, where I'm like, ooh, this is a historical figure. I would absolutely love to talk to their ghost. I feel like loved one, because then you can, if you have things left unsaid or what have you, or you just want to hear for their voice one last time, that's more meaningful to me, I think.
Oh, I like that. I'm realizing too, like I feel like I'm in a blessed place where so much of my family was so young that I don't have as many family members, knock on wood, that would even be an option, which there you go, my future trauma, because I'll have to go through a whole bunch of death all at once. And that'll be awful. yeah. So I'm like, why is my thought immediately Benjamin Franklin? And I'm
Young
like, damn
Ben
it.
Franklin. I knew you were going
Maybe
to.
I do have a fetish. I don't know. Like, something is unhinged up there. It's really, it's a problem. So, okay. Haunted space station or haunted village on another planet?
Village for sure. I am extremely terrified of space. I
Really?
Just the thought of being in unhaunted space, just the thought of being on a space station, period, like I can't wrap my mind around it. I would just be like, my mind would be so blown, off Earth. My husband is actually very into space. And so we've had this conversation. If we were ever like, amazingly millionaires or something, or billionaires,
Right.
or whatever it takes to go into space,
Yeah.
he would love to go to space. And I'm like, absolutely not. I would never. I wouldn't do it.
Really? Wow. You're like, I am the earth. Me and the earth.
Put
We
me
are.
on solid ground. I couldn't handle it. I think just the immensity, confronting the immensity of the universe in that way would like just crack my brain.
Oh man. And I'm like, you need a volunteer to go to Mars? Like, I'm ready. Beam me up, Scotty. Let's go. Like, I
You're
am
stronger
like,
than I am.
does an alien need to abduct someone? Because I like to travel. Take me out there. I'm ready.
You're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, like just keep the probes to yourself, and I'll be over here living my traveling
Right.
life with the
Like,
aliens.
consent is still important. Even
Yeah, right. Like,
I'll remember that.
I'll go with you, aliens, if. And here's my list of what we can and cannot do. So, the aliens are probably like, fuck those humans. They've given us such a bad rap of being like these probing whatevers. And oh my God.
If
So
they're more developed than us, they're probably enlightened enough to understand.
well,
They're going to be like, of course, we
clearly.
understand boundaries.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. So, do you believe in aliens?
Maybe. I think it's a distinct possibility. Like, I'm kind of in that camp of like, I don't see how we could be the only, intelligent beings in the universe. I wouldn't say that I am totally convinced we have encountered aliens. But I think it's pretty likely there's other beings out there besides us. Seems pretty like self-centered to think we're the best things in the universe.
Which is very much so a human trait. I feel like
that's right.
We're here, like we're the only attendant.
Great. Like we've almost blown up our own planet like multiple times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost over. I saw the funniest meme one time that was like aliens lock their doors when they drive by Earth, and I'm like, that is so fucking true. Like that has to be
neighborhood. Dicey.
And like, no, thank you, Earth. Like, let's move
Yeah.
past. So, yeah, no, that is not for us. Okay, so next question: would you rather be haunted by a ghost or possessed by a demon?
This is a tough one because I'm not Christian, so I don't necessarily actually believe in demons.
Mhm.
However, demons do seem kind of fun. Like the vibe of demons is kind of
Yes.
like party,
Yeah.
it's like, let's get crazy. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to say demon.
Okay, you're only like the second person to ever answer demon to that
Is that
question.
right?
I like to ask that one because usually people are like, oh, haunted by a ghost, unless, and but I'm like, the demon would get up in that brain and be like, whoa, what's happening
Yeah.
here? Like,
Well, and maybe you could work together, and if there was stuff you always kind of wanted to do, but you like couldn't, then you could do them while the demon is possessing you, and then you have an excuse.
yeah, and then you're like, it was the demon. Sorry,
It was
guys.
the demon, it wasn't me.
That is the book idea. You're gonna have to write that now because I feel like that's fun. Being like, oh well, it was my demon guy. Like I can't be blamed for this. It was the demon. So sorry. That's the demon in me. Like, oh,
that demon, such a rascal.
don't mind her. It's just her demon. Like it's coming out. Like it's just feed her a little child. It's fine. She'll be okay.
I do think this could be a good book idea. Maybe the demon only comes out like once a month. It's like a
like a werewolf,
and it's like also like menstruation style. It's like You know,
Oh my
that could be the month the demon comes out.
a
I think
whole
that
a
would be fun.
whole allegorical parallel between the two. That is
Yeah.
so much fun. That would make a fun anthology, actually, to have multiple stories. I'm smelling a
Oh,
project. That would be
I would
so
I would
fun.
submit to this anthology.
Yeah, I'm feeling like there might need to be some kind of menstruation. Yeah, that's an idea.
I love
I
it.
love that because that's see, and there are topics that I feel like are built for short stories, and
Yes,
then there are topics that are built for novels, and I feel like takes on the monthly monster of the demon.
I
Like,
love it.
ah,
This is perfect.
there's something there. There's something
I
there
agree.
to be continued,
Okay.
Mothlings. We'll think about that. That's fun. That's a fun idea. Awesome. All right. So final question of our pod. Actually, two final questions. Where can all of our Mothlings find you? Where can they find you on social media? Where can they find your books?
So I'm on pretty much all the social medias: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, all the things under Angela Sylvaine. I also have a website, angelasylvaine.com, and there's links there, of course. And you can get my books wherever books are sold. So yeah, check it out.
Awesome. That is fantastic. And then what's the best podcast in the whole entire horror world? Moths to the Flame.
Moths to the Flame. Obviously, it couldn't be anything else.
Clearly the best
Moths
one,
to the
right?
Flame.
Where there's demons and it's
I know.
off script always. So
I love the lightning round too. Like that can't be.
I told you it lasted 25 minutes. It's the slowest lightning round ever. Like I don't know why I need to call it the turtle round or something. Like,
No, that's okay. It's like rapid fire questions, but you're allowed to get distracted and talk about your answer.
yeah, well, because I think it's interesting to find out why. I just want to know why people have that answer. Like I just
I
can't.
love it. It's like taking a psychological test or something. You learn things about yourself. You learn things about other people. It's great.
Yeah, it's fun, and you learn who would rather be possessed by a demon than followed by ghosts. So then you know who to really watch out for.
That's right.
And there we go. It has been a pleasure having you on the pod today. Thank
Yes,
you for
thank
coming.
you. It's been so fun chatting with you. I hope we get to actually chat in person the next time I see you.
I know we missed our opportunity at StokerCon. Do you have any events that you have the Colorado conference coming up?
Yep. And I don't usually do a lot of cons. So if you're going to StokerCon next year, maybe I'll see you there.
I am. So
Okay,
we will have to see each other. We'll talk in person. It'll be fun.
Great. I look forward to it.
Awesome. I hope that you have the best rest of your day and good luck with your writing empire as you build it.
You
All
too.
right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.